Welcome to the GGRecon panel. We've invited 5 esteemed guests from around the professional Overwatch scene to discuss a hot button topic that recently flared up on Twitter, I would say, about game balance in relation to the highest level of competitive play. And the idea kicked off around the meta diversity subject, I would say. I think it sort of originated in the community that they weren't that happy about the diversity that was happening, and it was sort of honing in on the I struggle to coin it, the Atlanta comp around Winston Sombra, and eventually it also turns it into a competitive balance subject where you guys discussed it. So we just invited the main actors of that Twitter conversation, which was the coaches Gator, NineK, and Junkbuck, who exchanged some tweets, and we thought, okay, let's pull you out of the hellhole that is a Twitter argument, and let's make it long form. And then to round out the panel, we invited General Manager of the Florida Mayhem, Albert, as well as former pro player, former coach, and now broadcasting talent of the Overwatch League, Jake, to the discussion. You guys have commented on subjects of balance in the past. Now, I'm yeHHH. I work for GGRecon as a senior esports journalist, and I'll be hosting this panel, hopefully reeling it in. I don't think you guys will be too hostile to each other. I'm aware that I've seen your chat logs. You guys love to get in the weeds around subjects and be hyper particular. I think like there's some fun to be had around micro-specific points. We don't want to linger too hard on them. So once we get too focused on one point, I'll pull us along. In terms of the general structure of this panel, what I want to do is I want to start out with us defining our goals and premises in terms of, you know, what is actually a desirable Overwatch meta? Where was it ever good? Where do we want to go? What are the goals of balancing, and like how do metas even come to be? Then we want to look at where are we now? Is this actually a balanced state that's desirable? Like, do we need to change anything? And then lastly, also make some suggestions that are relatively mindful of where Blizzard may take this, also because they have to, you know, sort of manage a game that is played by tens of millions around the planet. Now, I guess let's start with this. As a show of hands, who here thinks that in order to call a meta good, different styles need to be viable?
Hard to say, actually. I don't know.
Okay, interesting. I thought that was going to be way more one-sided. Okay, Jake, why?
I just think, like, when you say what is a meta, like what makes a meta good, like what are we aiming for with the meta? I think one of the key attributes that we should be aiming for with the meta, or the devs should be aiming for, and as they drop a new patch, is that the diversity of heroes in Overwatch is showcased. And in order for like more than one style being viable means more than 6 heroes are viable, or whatever, 7, 8 heroes, you know, there's like this minor spot. Maybe, I mean, even better than like only 5 heroes being viable. Like that is the worst, in my opinion. That's like the worst it can be, where you just one trick, like that. If a meta is good, there's 2 things that'll influence the hero picks, that actually have enough influence to lead to you playing different heroes. And that one of them is player preference, player skill, and the other one would be maps. So if different maps are bringing out different comps, that's like a good sign for the meta. If you play the same comp on every single map, and it doesn't matter what the map is, you just keep playing this comp and you just beat everything, that's like hugely flawed, right? Like the same comp shouldn't be the best comp on Dorado, like, and on Circuit Royale. You know, like there's something really wrong if that's the case. And so I don't think this meta is like the worst ever, because, you know, yeah, Circuit Royale, you're still playing poke comp, and there's like there is like diversity based on the map. A lot of control maps are bringing out rush comps, things like that. But player skill, player preference, I think for a long time hasn't really affected what people's picks are. Maybe that's also because the modern game, like most players are so flexible now that there's not much reason to like stick to an off meta comp, because you're better at it. If your players can just play every hero, then you might as well play the best. But I do think on each map, like, we should see a lot of diversity on different, especially modes, different, like very different shaped maps. Those should change the hero picks. If they don't, those heroes are like too broken, you know? They shouldn't be the best on every map.
Sure. 9K, you didn't raise your hand. Why not?
Because it's kind of complicated to say like everything right now, but the biggest thing for me is like according from Jake, like he said that the map difference is making the meta changes a very good balance for the target for that, right? So, but I think I agree with him, but the problem is so much map is already certain com or certain hero is good at that. We already know that from the past few years. So no one want to try something different thing and that kind of thing, or because we already know there's a counter, or we already know that it's not working, or we already know this com is can be like a just average high is good. But that is the reason I just want to get the certain hero sometime broken to making them we can try something different meta. Like a no one thinking about before. I think Houston starting or some teams start starting like an Ana Kiriko in the very first time. Everyone thinking that was like a kind of weird comp because Ana never played with the Kiriko, or Kiriko is so dangerous hero. So that kind of making the people thinking so much because we work in this industry so long time, and people also. So we have automatically have a stereotype at the map. So it's hard to changeable. So I think what do I want to do change a map by map is like a more you can choose a map, or you can just more change the map more often, because I know making new hero is hard, so maybe change the map often is better for us to change the balance.
Okay. Gator, what about you? Like, you were basically molded by metas being forced, upon you during the hero pools era. Do you disagree? Like, is it fine for a comp to just stick around for a longer time?
No, I think right now it's pretty criminal how it's gone this year so far. Um, I don't think that you should have set map pools in OWL and you go into a match and 4 of your 5 maps are like the hardest dive maps in the game against a dive team, and your one tank player is forced to play monkey, or you're at a significant disadvantage off the rip. It just makes sense to me. At least without having some kind of a hero ban system or something. I think it's extremely flawed. But yeah, I don't think that that matters too much. Yeah, I'm quite frustrated how it's been 8 months in this year, and I don't think a single thing has changed. And also, I don't think the meta is as diverse as people think. I think the second, if everyone right now played in Burbank still in zero ping, I promise you, not a single person would play anything other than Monkey Tracer Sombra. Like, it would be not a single other hero played from the top 4, 5, 6 teams, as it showed in Korea. We got there and started playing, and we started realizing that people pick ROM, and it didn't matter because the Lucio would just get literally one tapped across the map on zero ping. So, on these online matches, I think like you can get a little more diversity, but it's just hard to convince the top teams who are also all dive favorite teams to play anything other than that.
Junkbuck, you won your first couple of tournaments, as far as I recall, during the GOATS era. Do you not have fondness in your heart for just like stability, good old, one comp, just run it down?
Well, I had fun, but I guess to go back to the question of the goal of the meta, and is it a good meta, and to answer that question, I guess at the end of the day, the goal of the devs and goal of the game is to make the game fun, right? And have as many people play as possible. And so, in that sense, if the people like playing the same thing over and over again, I guess that can be fine. But so I guess the more I think about it, about that question, I think as long as the meta that satisfies the most people as possible, I guess, to the general public, I guess that would be the goal of the meta, the goal of the devs.
That makes sense.
Is that stance something that we have to say now, given the state of Overwatch, or should that have always been the goal, to optimize for viewer engagement?
I mean, I didn't really have like an answer off the rip when you answered the question, because I think it's so complicated. Because meta being good, like, we didn't really define what good means. Like, does good means good for viewership? Does it mean good for the game health? And I think what the meta is in OWL is also, it's never been the case in ranked. Like, and your casuals, like, even different experience, right? Like, I play top 500 ranked. I see Mercies like every game. Like you can't play. You literally like the meta is not like what you see in Owl. Like is not the same in ranked unless maybe Goats. Goats high level. Like yeah, it was a year. If you're in top 500, you probably play Goats. Like it was everywhere. But beyond that, like obviously, I think everyone agrees like Goats lasted way too long. But yeah, I would say if we're talking about overall game health, I think showing that there's different things that can be played at the highest level is probably more beneficial than something more stagnant. But I also think if you have, for example, Goats, I think we really solved like the comp throughout the year. Like every team got better and better until you basically perfected like how to play. And I think with a lot of these so-called metas, like we haven't even now, like I think people are, tinkering. The balance patch didn't really change that much. But still people playing like people incorporating Echo, right? People are getting different looks. Even though it's been half a season already of, it's like, oh, maybe it should have crystallized into Sombra, Anna Brig, Winston, right? But I think teams are still tinkering and we're still figuring it out. Obviously, Florida in particular likes to tinker the most, I would say, of any teams. Like we want to get uncomfortable. We want to figure out like other looks. Because I think our philosophy is just like, and I think just for the general public, I don't know how the general public thinks, but in my head, it's like if you're not, there might be let's say there is an optimal comp. If you're not good at that optimal hero, it's not an optimal comp for you, no matter how good that comp is. And I see that mistake in ranked a lot, where they're like, oh, let's just play a good comp. It's like, well, if you're not good at those heroes, or you're not as good as the other team on that hero, there's no, like you're just gonna lose. But could you win playing something else, making them uncomfortable? Like I think there's a higher chance for you to win, and do better playing something else. And I think as we've had so many metas, and I think that's why now in like year 6, like we're seeing people like have more identities, whereas I think before it was a lot more boring, right? It was a lot more crystallized. But I think now coaches and players are starting to understand, like, there's no point in just slamming your head against the wall and playing the same comp as the top teams. Like
I think
Shock, right? Like Shock whipped out Orisa like randomly, and like like I admire them for that, right? Like they're just like, okay, let's go crazy, let's switch it up in a match and see if we we can't take some maps off, because we're not gonna make it work with with what we have right now.
Sure.
Yeah, but
I think there's. Or go
don't
ahead.
need to. Oh, sorry. If I don't need to do that, I don't need. I'm not going to do that.
Of course,
Yeah,
you're not Atlanta. You're not Atlanta though, so you do.
we know we all live at disadvantage, right? So we want
Yeah.
to try some way differently to making the working. It's not meaning there's a good the balance, to be honest. But yeah, whatever.
Yeah, no, that was your solution to the. I'm
Yeah.
not saying but I'm saying that.
Yeah.
But teams realizing that means that you can have a diverse meta without, I think 19 teams playing one comp does not make any sense, no matter if that's the actual meta, because you're just gonna lose to the top like 3 teams, right? Everyone else is just it doesn't make sense to me. You optimize your chances of winning more if you're playing something off meta, or you're figuring out your own stuff.
I agree.
I think I don't actually think that's right, because I think there's one thing. So first, in your range example, the idea that like, okay, you're better off playing your like better heroes that like you're comfortable on. If you're bad at the meta heroes, there's no point playing it. I agree with that. However, you have to like play a comp that actually makes sense. Like if we're playing like a full dive and then we've got like a Reaper one trick, it's like we lose. Like it's not like him being on Reaper is gonna make it like okay because he's good at Reaper. It's like we're gonna get stomped because the hero doesn't fit. We have to all play heroes that enable this one trick, and then okay, now our weird comp, as long as it's like the comp makes sense together. Oh, we go Lucio. Oh, we go Ramatra. Oh, we go Sombra. Oh man, Moira. Okay, now we have like a good comp again. That's not the meta comp, but we can like win because it's like a comp that is not the meta comp, but it is a comp that makes sense together. I think that the challenge you run into if you're like a mid-table team and saying we're not going to beat Atlanta at Tracer Sombra, so let's not play it, is like you might not beat Atlanta, but you do need to beat like other teams that are similar skill to you, and you probably can beat them if you get good at Tracer Sombra. And if you play this like rush shit, like I think London's a good example. London's getting just eaten alive trying to play this bad stuff, like rush comps. They're trying to play it all the time, and they get smoked. And I don't even think you can say that it's like they are good at those heroes. Like they are playing cover picks, and they get absolutely smoked, and like the games are not close. And then you a team like Vegas actually made it look close against Boston, forcing the meta, and like so if you can mentally accept we are a dog shit team and we're gonna be like 19th this season, then you can like play crazy stuff. But if you're like, I want to be 10th and not 15th, I think you need to play it like what you think is the best. Unless you're like really like you just don't have the players to play it. Like it's hopeless. Okay. But those are the teams who are like, we're gonna be 19th. Let's fucking get crazy. But I think 10th place is not gonna do that. 10th place is like, fuck it, let's try to win the games against not Atlanta, but we can beat other mid-table teams, do better than them, make it out of the bottom 3 so we don't get eliminated. Like for almost everyone, I don't think you can just play some comfort comp, and I don't think that's an optimal strategy. Other than the really bad teams. I don't think it'd go too crazy in one direction, but I think like some like small swaps, like for example, there's some Winston play out there that I'm like, I see you playing Winston, and I'm like, I think you could do the same and more on D.Va, and you're better at D.Va, but you're playing Winston, and it's like, I understand Winston's meta, but like in my head, it makes more sense for them to play D.Va, even though because they're better at D.Va, and I think maybe just that one switch, they could find some more success. Like just work around the fact that you can't play Winston up to like that level.
Isn't that flawed though? That for 8 months now you start down because you don't play Winston.
I don't think it's like a flawed. I think so it goes back to the goal of the meta as in it satisfied people enough. So maybe the Winston, Tracer, Sombra, those kind of heroes are the best. But let's say if the other heroes are viable enough, it's not the best hero, but it's playable. So as Jake used as an example for London on Rhine last year, or Chengdu during GOATS or whatever, if it's like good enough, viable enough, if it satisfies them enough, maybe we call that also like a good enough meta where it satisfies enough people where they could. So it can also relate to the rank experience, right? The rank, certain heroes maybe not the best hero, but then you can have like all this people who likes playing that hero, or like let's say there's like a Doomfist player who really likes playing Doomfist, but then like he can have fun playing the game. But then if the hero is viable enough, it may not be the best, but maybe that is good enough for the meta. As in, like that could be considered what we define a good meta, I guess.
Yeah, like you reduce the distance between the best hero and the second best and the third best. They're better, but like you're never gonna make everything equal. I think that's the goal of the devs, right? To make things close. I just think maybe the problem is the solving for like the skill distribution, where it's like not that hard to make all the characters equal at like a fixed skill level. Like if we say only top 500 players, I think it wouldn't be that hard to like keep patching until you get more and more parity, and then this hero's too good. Okay, we'll nerf that hero and blah blah. But I think you can only really solve for like one place in the skill distribution. And if you're Blizzard and you want to maximize people's happiness, you're gonna solve for the middle of the bell curve, like the 50th percentile, right? That's the place you want the game to be balanced because there's the most people there. Versus pro play is like, there's like nobody at that level, right? At the end, it's like the end of the bell curve. There's like nobody here. So why would you care if you're looking as like a Blizzard and like, we want to make the game balance? I think Overwatch League is just weird because a ton of people see pro play, even though not many people are at that level. I think there needs to be something that separates pro play from rank play. I think like personally, I think we need like some kind of hero banning system in each game. I like the idea of like, what if every game is map draft or map pick, like loser pick map?
Yeah.
Even if there's a map pool, I think it's fine. Like I think there shouldn't be like true open pit, like 10 escorts or whatever. Maybe it's too much, but like you have this map pool, and then the same way we do playoffs, right? Where it's like we just like the loser pick map. It's gonna make a lot more map 5s and a lot more map 4s, like less stomps. But maybe that is actually a really good thing for the game that you get an advantage from losing.
Briefly, because we're now going through like all 3 stages of how we want to structure this already at the suggestion stage. So what I'm hearing here is, you guys generally agree that like diversity is not a bad thing to have. It's just like how it manifests is different. There is a time component in there, or a social component to meta, right? Like in the skill distribution you said. I think like that's probably even true at the pro level, where like maybe if you don't have any dedicated high-level Sombra players, this looks different as people like I remember talking to Gator, and Gator, you told me like you felt like Lib was teaching the league how to play Sombra to a certain degree, right? So if you don't have the big guy teaching the rest of the league, maybe there's also something to be said about the strength of the hero. So do you think there is something to the fact that meta is not just the numbers or mechanics state of the heroes, but also the social component of like, did we have a break recently so we could develop some alternative meta? Is the skill distribution on the different roles differently? Are we maybe at the moment in the Winston meta because there are 5 guys in the league that are just absolutely so far ahead of everyone else, and we're playing a bunch of off tanks on off picks, and therefore, of course, they're getting dominated. Do you think there is a social component to meta, generally speaking, Albert?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's okay. I think first start of every meta, people figure out who the best teams are, like at least in the beginning, and then they copy those comps. Everyone has their idea going in. Okay, we're gonna try this in scrims. We're gonna try that in scrims. Then once you get beat by a comp, naturally the player's like, oh, let's try their comp. Like that comp seems good. Like let's try it, and then you try it. If you're better on the other team of that comp, then you're okay. That's our comp now. Like we took that. Like we're playing this, and then you find another team that's beating you. You're like, okay, let's switch to that comp, and then people keep copying until you reach a point where it's like, okay, we've seen all the comps, and we kind of have an idea of like where our comp is in the hierarchy, where these comps are. If you have a team just absolutely dominating scrims, then everyone's copying them, and then it's like. And then it's, as Jake said, it's like a race to the bottom, right? It's like, okay, well, we just need to be, we're not going to be like that good at as the dominant team, but like, for example, like in Shock, it's like, okay, we're never going to be Shock Goats, but like we can beat like all these other teams. We feel pretty good about beating other teams in the mirror or whatever. And then so you start copying, and then that sets in. I think, so yeah, absolutely, there's a social component, especially in OWL. Like everyone talks, all the players talk about scrims, everyone talks about like quirky picks or like, oh, like I can't believe our coach made us do this, or like, oh, our coach thinks this is good. Like, did your coach like did you guys think of this? Like, what do you think of this? Like, they all talk. So I think very quickly you reach or at least a consensus socially in at least OWL if you're scrimming the OWL teams. What's good and what's not. And I think the real question is like, I feel like figuring out like what people think is too long for a meta to stay is probably important, because then honestly, like the biggest thing is like balance, right? Like you release an OP hero, you release a patch that like, makes something buffed or like heavily nerfs something and changes like what is playable, what is not playable, at least in the short term, and that changes the meta immediately, no matter like what was happening before then, because the patches, right? And I think this, in terms of this year and like in the past, like when meta stagnated, it's because like things weren't shaken up enough by the patch. And I think for this one, it's like, okay, well, they released Lifeweaver, unplayable hero at the highest level. Like, so there was no like, I think everyone initially was like, oh shoot, we're gonna have 2 new support heroes. We haven't had a new support hero yet that is playable, so it's like completely irrelevant in
Talk
terms
about
of
Lifeweaver, how we're gonna fix Lifeweaver.
right. So I think big shakeup could happen, but
That'd be a fun
it just happens
conversation.
right before playoffs, because the new support hero gets released, new game mode plus Lifeweaver. If Lifeweaver is playable and the new hero is playable, I honestly have no idea. Like I don't know they could not change the numbers on other heroes, but the play rate could completely change based on how OP those heroes are. But I think the problem is this year we just haven't had that shakeup yet, and so it feels more stagnant. Even though if Lifeweaver was playable, we could be talking about something totally different. It wouldn't feel as like, oh, it's the same shit. So
NineK, if it's true that balance is also a part of the social component, should
Mhm.
all of balance also be considered, like in order to have a balanced high level meta, should stuff like season schedule, patch schedule, of course also breaks, I feel like it's probably not a mistake that a bunch of teams rolled up with non-standard meta comps, even though we pretty much figured out what the meta of Juggernaut is now. That the fact that some teams are had time to try something else after the long break, I don't think that's necessarily random. Is it more than just like talking about numbers and also talking about the competitive format and like breaks and the social component, maybe even how we scrim and how we divide regions and all of that?
Yeah, I agree with the social issue, because the biggest thing is like let's say about the last few years, like some team trying the different comp and each other like a bottom team or a middle team, and they're thinking, oh, this comp is good, and suddenly like some strong team just starting like a scrim later and just dominated every team, and just everyone just copy to that comp. So definitely the strong team the lighting the meta. But I think the biggest issue for me is like you have a very limited about the practice the common variation because you're starting with the coast, right? And you're starting about the next time is a hybrid and the 2CP and like a payload like a long time, right? So the most of the teams that could choose a strength come from coast and payload like and most design is so much like have a high ground and things like that. So your first time thinking of the when the map starting can come working at with the tanker or distiller. You're not choosing by DPS. You're most likely choose by tanker and healer. Then if that healer working this tanker is OP tanker, you is good hero. Let's say like now if the monkey is good or not or good or not, this time if the gen is broken, monkey is working on some point. So it's more likely does not really matter. I think more tanker and killer is more better because but that's literally map by map you can use to fix it. So if say last stage and this stage, what different thing is like I know let's say I'm reading somebody's not good on the certain map pool. I mean that's kind of true, but not so true also. But if you're starting like when you have matched with the some team and you know that map is good with the Sombra, you know that map is good with the monkey. How can you prepare? You never have an option to prepare. It's literally hard. So and you so one time last year when we have a scrim with the I know scrim with the some team and every other team was play monkey and our match time they play diva so we always have a hard time at that time so definitely social is like a real effect about the a lot of point of the meta.
So one thing NineK said that I completely disagree was how the DPS doesn't matter in the in in the meta. It's like, well, the last year Soldier was so strong. I think was the most oppressive hero we've seen. One of the so I think that pretty much determined what we could play and what we can do. So I think as long as there's like if certain like and then and that could be true. Like a lot of the heroes like support for example Kiriko was the oppressive hero. So I think it's not about the role. It's just if the hero is oppressive enough for it's like it can determine what you play and things like that.
But that is not making sense for me because GGRecon meta, some team using Sojourn and some team using Ashe. After that, Kiriko was OP, and so people using Sojourn with the like a Leaper and Tracer or something like that. So that because it's not they're not choose a comp by DPS is OP or not. They're choose by more tank.
So GGRecon was also oppressive for that meta. So I think it just depends on the hero, I guess.
I think it's DPS are more viable in more comps. Like the TPS doesn't decide how the team plays. So I think even if Sojourn is like the most oppressive broken hero ever, there's some. I guess it's not always true. I think some DPS like it doesn't matter what team comp you play. Like Sojourn's a very unique hero. You can play dive, you can play poke, you can play rush. Like you're just if your hero's broken, like the rest of the heroes, you just pick whatever is good, and then the Sojourn will play in whatever comp. You'll just always have Sojourn because she's broken. But I think.
Yeah.
Can I bring?
I think some heroes being broken like on DPS is more problematic. Like I think if Sombra and Tracer are broken heroes, you basically only play dive. Like you don't play these heroes in other comps. I mean, Sombra maybe you can play Rush, maybe, but if it's like Tracer and Sombra, probably you don't. And then, like so it sort of depends on which DPS it is, and that's true on tank too, right? A tank is a little more like I think maybe you could play Diva, like you could play poke comp if Diva's broken, or you could play dive comp. But yeah, I think every hero is unique, actually.
Okay, I sense a strong turn to you guys wanting to discuss the status quo, but let us briefly just nail out what the ideal goals are that we should be pursuing, with the suggestions we might make, or that people understand what our problem is. And I think another question to ask in that regard is to ask, when was the meta actually good, or rather, when was it the best in your opinion? So, Gator, what do you think? Like, what was your favorite meta state?
Last year's Hawaii tournament was the best meta. It's not even close because there was so much shit getting played. It was I was actually legitimately unsure if Doom, Monkey, or Ball was better on many maps. I was actually confused. There was teams making it to top 4 and 5 playing tons of different comps. teams that had really good Doom players were doing well. There was a lot of ball getting played. There was a lot of monkey getting played. That was a very good meta. There was some double flex. It was just all kinds of stuff. I actually think the second Junker Queen came in, it essentially kind of went downhill. We had the Junker Queen meta, and then we had the playoff meta, which were if you didn't play those comps, you instantly lost, and it wasn't even debatable. And then this year, it's been, I mean, as you know, but yeah, I actually think and the problem is that's when they were taking feedback from all the Overwatch League players. Just going into that season, that was essentially when all the feedback was based off people in scrims, and there wasn't a lot of complaints from people about say Doom's punch. Like people weren't bitching about that. The people who were bitching about that was when it came out live. So yeah, I actually thought it was really, really, really good. I thought there was a lot of ways to win, and there was actually a lot of clear counters, which was fun. Right now, I don't think there's a lot of clear counters. I really don't think you should be allowed to load into Ilios and say we're number 1 seed right now. I think it's quite unfair that we can just pick Ilios every single map in an entire playoff, and if somebody can't win a monkey mirror, they instantly lose map 1. Like that just doesn't make sense. Like I don't know how that's fair. Like it doesn't make any sense at all. I think it's flawed. Yeah, it doesn't seem right. It's just not right. So I think you should have other options to win. If I'm being honest, I really do. Like, and I think that was a really, really, really good month, or like probably 2 or 3 month period, where I felt like there was a lot of shit able to be played.
Albert,
that was a really fun tournament to watch.
Sorry, Albert, one was your
yeah.
favorite meta?
That one. It was a lot of Doom. It was pretty much Doom meta essentially. It was Doom meta, but it was really ball and monkey meta too. It was fun. Very fun meta. Okay. I don't know why Doom, Diva, and Ball have not gotten touched. Because I get monkeys incredibly fun to watch. Very high school cap hero, but I can't be convinced that Ball and Doom are not incredibly fun to watch. As well.
I think anything being one trick stops being fun. Like as much as I love Winston, the 50th primal I see in a day, I'm like, just and then when Shock plays Ball, and I'm having so much fun watching this match because no one else is playing Ball. Like they're bringing this out. I think it's the diversity, right? That's what you want. You want this. Yeah. I'm gonna play Doom and you're gonna play Ball, and neither. It's so close. Like maybe one's better, but we just don't know because it's like so well balanced.
I think there's certain heroes where you can just always I would not mind if for the rest of Overwatch 2 you had to have a Tracer player. I think that's fine. I personally
don't think that's fine. I don't think that's fine. I think Tracer is like the bane of Overwatch. Actually, it's like the ruins the game.
You think it's not the bane?
It's just like a one-trick viable hero. It's like Lucio for the first 3 years of the game. No one really complains about Lucio for the first 3 years of Overwatch being a perma one-trick god hero. It's like the best hero in the game by so much. You never ever swap. You literally have a Flexible player and a Lucio player back in the day. Like that was how you talked about the team. Like you have a Lucio player. Like that is his purpose.
It's a subjective thing. What is fun to watch and not fun to watch? It is a subjective thing. Some people will say just watching Tor might be fun. Yeah, so
I think Tracer's a perfect blend for me, at least. I mean, that's just my opinion. I think I'd be fine with. I think most teams have a Tracer player in the Owl.
I just think it's the problem is just that there's a one-trick viable hero.
I think the good heroes are like the so when the Overwatch 2 first came out, I think the devs were taking a good route of changing the heroes to be more like, if you look at heroes like Doom or Orisa, even though Junker King was broken, it was like those were the shield heroes. They had just like their own HP. It was not about like shooting shields or whatever. It was at the end of the day, and then they added the support passive, which heals them on their own. It's like they were trying to make a game where they're less team dependent for you to have fun, right? So I think that's where it was going. But I do feel like supports heroes like Tracer, or whenever certain heroes gets too strong, like Junker King or the Soldier or whatever, like a lot of the heroes don't let you play the game. So I think that's when it becomes bad, when you don't get to have fun, because your options are more limited when you don't get to play the game the way you want, I guess.
I think back to the original question, like favorite Overwatch 2 meta, I think I agree with Gator. I think it was the first patch, or I guess what we had in Overwatch League, because it was just Sojourn. And I think they nerfed Sojourn, correct? Like during preseason, or no? Am I misremembering?
We did.
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
there was
I mean, not-
yeah, it was fun. There's a soldier
Yeah,
meta.
remember-
There was a Zarya Ryan shit stage
I mean,
one.
I remember
too.
Kai was dominating, and then people were like, "Yo, Soldier might be kind of like Omega Bust," and it was still Omega
Mhm.
Bust, but it wasn't. They at least made an attempt to make it not as
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah.
And I think that helped, and so I think that first, and then then you release new heroes, and most of the new heroes have been crazy OP. Like Junker Queen got released, crazy OP.
It's really crazy how they made
Crazy.
Junker Queen and
Yeah.
Kiriko and
then Ram.
Lifeweaver.
And
Lifeweaver.
they made Ram in between there too.
That's what
There's a
I
Ram in there.
understand. I understand like the make a
Yeah.
new hero like crazy OP
Yeah.
because then it like sells skins or whatever in battle
Yeah.
passes. Like that, there's almost like there's like an economic reality to that.
Yeah.
It's like you can't really question as much as
I
it's
don't
like
mind
okay.
it being OP when they.
I think it's
first release
dumb.
hero.
Yeah. I think it's like having one meta where the new hero is broken. If anything, it's kind of cool. It's like everyone gets to know this
Yeah.
new hero. Lifeweaver is like, what? Like, do they think they were they
Yeah.
trying to make it open? Like, I
New hero is
I don't
supposed to
know.
change the way you think about the game. I feel, and
Yeah,
Life
yeah,
Force
yeah,
did not
it's-
change our thinking. It was just like this does not change anything. Like this changes nothing.
Yeah.
This is just a utility hero that's useless in every. That's you can
So
just use. It
funny
was like a good
thing,
troll hero. I don't get it.
actually,
If
it's useless. You could stop
DPS,
there.
Yeah.
If it did is DPS, I think people are gonna using a lot actually.
Yeah.
If it
Oh,
did,
what
it
with
would
his
be good.
skill, with his
If you
pedal
can
or
DPS
whatever?
and heal, but the fact that you have to choose one and the heal's not even that, it's like, eh.
Yeah, that's the
And
issue.
the damage
You
is
can-
fucking
every
shit.
other
And
hero.
just like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Every other support you can damage it and then suddenly heal. Rifle,
Yeah.
you're damage it, and then when you if you had suddenly heal, you just wait
Also
for 1 second, and then it goes fly super slow,
Yeah.
and then it finally lands. So you
I
can
hope
never
you're not
do
dead,
damage.
bro.
Yeah,
Also,
yeah.
the tree is a stationary. It should just be at
It's
least
so
give
bad.
it trance. At least make it like trance level, like transcendence level healing. It gives
Yeah.
you a healing in
The
bursts.
tree lasts forever.
It's so
but, I
bad.
mean, I think Lifeweaver is like, for me, it made me real. I felt like was so hopeful with a lot of the new Overwatch 2 heroes because Queen, Kiriko, and Sojourn, as much as they were like super OP on launch, they're like good heroes in the sense that like they changed the game. All of them, they all have an impact on the game. They added like new varieties of comps. Like Kiriko really changed. It's like a link between different support comps. Like it's like a flex support, like heals a lot. It has like it can like live on its own, like a main support can. So it has like this new. It's like this new
They're
bridge.
all
and
heroes
Junker
that they
Queen's-
can play on their own and have fun.
yeah, and play on their own and have
Yeah, I
fun. And
But-
Lifeweaver, I'm convinced you can't do stats changes that make this hero viable until you like I don't know, you one hit people with your left click and your right click heals for 200. I think that'll be when Lifeweaver is a good hero when the stat it heals like 2x. When it's like 2xing other supports on stats, then maybe Lifeweaver like give Lifeweaver 350 HP. I don't think you
You
play
can
it.
just heal faster while you're attacking, and then you can suddenly heal 75 right away.
Maybe if you can dual wield, like you can heal and shoot at the same
Dual wield.
time.
Every other
Like,
support,
literally
Anna,
do
Gab,
both.
or like they all can. It's not just Lifeweaver.
Yeah.
You just don't
But,
play
like,
Lifeweaver.
So I
I'm
think
convinced that
they're-
Lifeweaver's skills are just terrible. Like that, there's no unless the left click and right click are so insanely statistically the best thing in the fucking game by a million.
Can only
The
do
skills
one
are
thing.
like he doesn't have skills. Like those skills are not real. They don't exist. Like pulling somebody out is bad. Is fucking terrible. It's like we lose slower now. Like you know what I mean? Like when it's like somebody gets slept, it is like so rare. There's a circumstance where you would want to pull somebody out, and it's like a good thing. It's when that person is like confirmed for dead that it becomes a good play. Why would you make a play when your teammate is like confirmed dead? Like you can't do anything until your teammates fuck up and feed. That's like your purpose as a hero.
I think if Lifeweaver could, instead of just being on the pole, if they could throw someone out, I think that could possibly make it useful.
Maybe.
Niche, you can't, like if you just
Send the Ryan into
you
your
can just
back line.
throw
like, I
Ryan
don't know.
onto high ground, like maybe we're cooking there in some cases, but yeah.
Yeah, you
Right.
you have a Lifeweaver can go up actually. So you
Yeah.
can sell,
Yeah, you can pedal. It's just such a like. I think the idea of pulling somebody and saving them is like, it's like worse than a Zarya bubble. Like if you could give them the immortality and not pull them, it would be like a good skill.
Mm.
Like if I could just, if it was just like an E cast Zarya bubble, and that's it. Like it gives you the immortality and the damages, but I don't pull you completely out of the team fight and like make you irrelevant for 5 seconds. You know, like hard backing like that is terrible. Like every other save in the game, like the Kiriko, the BAP, the Ana nade, all their E skills, right? All of those, like you're fighting and maybe you're losing, and I save you and you win the fight you're having. That you might have lost. Now I save you, you win that fight. Like that's a huge swing for the team. And the Lifeweaver is like it's this almost like you lost, except you respawn faster. Like that's the equivalent of what you did. Like it's not as bad as if you died. but it's close. It's like almost as bad as dying to go to the back line when you're a hero that wants to be in.
NineK, Jake said there is an economic reality to the introduction of new heroes, that they should be overpowered a little bit in order to sell skins and whatnot. Isn't that also a proxy for interest for Overwatch League stuff? Shouldn't new heroes just be busted? More folks would look at it as well. You don't have to make it like overtly, absurd, but like at least strongly suggests that a new hero should be meta. It brings more interesting stuff into the league. People, if the hero is remotely designed well, we have to think about gameplay concepts in a new way. Should just every new hero just be at least strongly suggested to be in Overwatch League meta as well?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because when last year the very first stage starting, everyone played like a Soldier Tracer with the monkey and some team Diva or something like a Doom kind of that. But that time, it is kind of boring for me, because if you want to using like a that com, you have like a very limit about that. So no one like really interested even we play. So we just figuring out, one out hero is making the different feeling, but as a com wise, it's not really feel different, because we already played this kind of com a long time ago and it's still not really different. Yeah, but I think for me, the most biggest thing for me, the not economic part, maybe it's too earlier to bring up, but I think too much like an Overwatch hero have so much high mobility, because I think high mobility making game more fun, to be honest. There is a Kiriko wide playable and Junkerkin was different reason, but I think Sojourn was a playable reason. It's not she's damage and not she's skill. It's more like because her mobility. I think if the Sojourn mobility is still same as before, I think still she probably working still. I mean, certain map we still working it with the certain com, but I think high mobility is the biggest issue for me, the Overwatch.
Like, you think we should go back to a time of less heroes being mobile and like?
No, I want to be every hero get the more.
Or every hero be more mobile. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I think every hero being mobile, because I think if you look at the heroes that are like sort of unplayable, like for instance, like something like Cassidy, rather than giving him Magnade, like I don't know, make the roll much further, or like I like some of the changes they made where Cassidy could like dodge damage with the roll, like 50% resist. Like I think those types of changes are like really, really good, because they add this new like escape, survive, outplay potential, versus things that like shut down other players. Like it's one thing if I dodge your shot and you have to hit me one more time and maybe I can win because of that. But if I like stun you and one hit you, it's like terrible.
Junkbuck.
So
sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Keep. If you have a response to that, then go on.
No. I just thinking about because when I played Overwatch since a long time, I still don't understand like a few thing is why Lionheart every single time need the Lucio, why Para need him every time Mercy, and why Lamatra every time like the first time when we play, I say to our team and asking like some other team, does this character really need Lucio? So that was the reason when we play Lyon at the Dallas together last year, at the show match something, I asked him like the Lush and asking the Hanbin, can we play without the Lamatra Lucio, because I want to see how he's good or bad. And actually it was fun. Because every time so hard to like making the people convinced about the using like this hero with this that. But a lot of team just thinking Lion need Lucio. But I think that is true, because you don't have some way to making Lion work without the Lucio. Very limited. So I think that is one of the issues because of mobility. Because after the line buff by cancel the charge, it's actually really good, right? Yeah. But if you have a more speed, and that is the reason I think Monkey jumping to the other and Tracer jumping the mobility is too huge. Because Diva and let's say about the Doom is working at that time last year, Hawaii, because that time Doom have a strong mobility with the strong damage. But now Doom just have a mobility. So you need to buff a bit more about that.
Junkbuck, do you think a more mobile Overwatch is a more fun Overwatch?
Or Overwatch 3 then. Get rid of all the boring mobile character. Rework everyone to be mobile. Personal preference. I don't have a personal preference, to be honest. I don't care what kind of heroes there are. But I guess will it be actually good for the game? Will it make the game more fun and be more popular? In that sense, I don't know actually. Maybe.
Fun for who? I mean, if you're a casual player and you can't play like Tracer, you're Torb or like what do? You just like you're gonna have zero fun. So I
Yeah,
don't know. Fun for who?
I feel like there can be maybe the Cassidy type change can actually make sense in the sense of if you're not a player who can like handle high mobility heroes, you have some heroes who like have a chance to shut down high mobility. So it's Cassidy. It's like Torb is like that too, where the turret has aimbot, right? So you don't care about Tracer blinking. You know, I think those things are interesting. Like I don't know. For me, this was like when Junkrat got like buffed like crazy, and I was like abusing him really hard at the beginning. You know, maybe this is also the social aspect of the game. Is like when you make these like weird heroes that are like untouched competitively, you make them actually strong. Like you give them big buffs where you have to consider them. Then I think that those metas actually take a long time to develop because people resist it. If you make Tracer and Sombra good, everyone's gonna be playing Tracer. We know how that works. We know how good it is for the best players playing Tracer Sombra. Everybody knows you can like crush if those heroes feel good, and like you just it plays itself for everyone who's been around for years. They know exactly how to play. Even if there's some changes, like it's the same hero. But then if you make like Torb strong, you know, like in some way you give him something that makes him actually good against, maybe he can save his teammates, or I don't know, give the E to his ally, or give the E to your Zen or something and keep your Zen alive, you know, make some crazy buffs like that. Those things, I think, since they're weirder and no one has played it before and those heroes are like untouched, they take a long time to be figured out because it's like a new thing, a different thing. What's sad is when there's a hero like Tracer Sombra that's like a known meta. It's not like a new meta. It's not like a new hero. Okay, new hero OP. Understandable. This is meta. But when it's like old heroes, a meta that we've seen before, that we've played before, which like Tracer Sombra is like an old meta, right? It's been around a very long time. And like old versions of Sombra, we're still playing same comp. Then, you know, it's like those metas, it's like a letdown. It's like there's nothing interesting. There's nothing new this meta. You know, it's like, okay, we play Tracer Sombra again. And maybe we nerf Tracer Sombra, and then like next time there'll be another Tracer Sombra meta. It's like, okay, it feels worse compared to like new metas from new heroes, new buffs. I think they should just try to force diversity, actually, even if it's awkward.
I know they're previously, like I think Scott Mercer said, like in Overwatch 1, they're like, okay, our balance philosophy want make everything OP, so nothing's OP. I don't know if they have a guiding principle for Overwatch 2. Like I haven't heard like, hey, this is our overarching principle. Because I think, to your point, I think if you just made everything busted and you keep making things busted, then you know the meta keeps. It's like, okay, let's go to the next busted thing. Let's go to the next busted thing. Instead of like, okay, so we're just nerfing things, tweaking things, and then like things become busted because you didn't nerf something hard enough, and then it becomes a problem, right? So I think Sojourn was super busted, and then we slowly got to a point where, okay, and then Sombra got like buffed a little bit, and there's okay, now Sombra's like a massive problem, and then for Cassidy, you took something away from Cassidy, and all of a sudden, like, okay, we can't really play Cass anymore because you know the change, and now it's like Sombra's perma-meta. So I think it'd be interesting. I don't know what if someone's heard or talked to a dev if there is like a core, like, but I think there is something to the let's just make everything OP. So
My guess is they changed multiple times.
I think so too. Yeah, I think that too.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I love when the DPS have like a speed boost in the very earlier. I mean, it was pretty.
Yeah, the Elim speed boost, like Genji, and like you know, I think, but maybe it was like I guess it didn't help Tracer as much since he already has so much. I don't know. I think that was super fun. I mean, as a DPS player, but I think a lot of the casual players complaining on support because they get like team wiped by Genji by himself, you know, and like some abilities like Blade. Okay, Blade is like super broken. If you get speed amp on kills, you're gonna get kills with Nano Blade, so you're like guaranteed getting speed amp. And then some heroes don't even use it at all, like Pharah or whatever. You barrage, you like don't even use it. So it can create some kind of like problem in that way, or hit scan heroes who just want to stand still. They don't want to walk forward. That they don't use it either.
Yeah, so that is one of the reasons like giving more passive is going to be working because Kiriko can work climbing and just dash it and a lot of things. That is reason was when first time she came out, like everyone thinking that's OP, right? So I think give it to more mobility, like a certain hero or a certain way. I think it's going to be working more, definitely. And what is it? I think one of the thing I really want to suggestion to like a dev. One thing I really don't understand is why every single payload and the touch point, each person have the same quality to percentage or speed and or blocking. Because if you're a Lionheart, Tracer is literally smaller than you and not heavier than you, and you're same speed with it. I sometimes don't understand why. If you have a the tanker, bigger tanker, and Tracer just touched like a short second, you stop your card, or your percentage to stop it. So sometimes feel like this is not making the game
My
more.
guess is they don't want to complicate the game
Yeah,
too
could
much.
be,
That
yeah.
will be my guess.
Tanker,
And the
just be
factor
a
in like
tanker.
the weight of your heroes, like
Roadhog can push the
Yeah.
car like as fast as 4 players, like max speed. That's Roadhog's buff.
like the robot,
Super
just
really
starts
buff.
sprinting when you get the right.
I want Roadhog to cap the
Yeah.
capture point on cost in like 2 seconds. He's like,
Yeah, what else? Well, I mean, this is like you need to be like because I think Overwatch. I said a message to the dev like I think 2 months ago. I think Overwatch 2 payload speed at the second point is so much problem. I only send them overtime because I think second point speed of the payload is so slow as like Overwatch 1. There's a reason you have to play like a ping pong comp and a list.
yeah.
Because
I
you
think-
can't stay the card.
I do think
Yeah.
that part of the game, which is like how players interact with the objectives, is something that hasn't been touched since like the game came out. Pretty much, as far as I
Very
can
older,
tell, I think it's the
very older.
same. Like it's like almost it's like basically launch, and I think that actually can be a way to change the game that really opens the game. I think, for instance, Tracer as a hero, maybe it's too hard to fix the problem where like pro players are so good at Tracer that the hero's like godly.
And
Another
there's a
way to
bit
do it is like if
more,
I push with 3 players, like I play
Yeah.
rush comp, I have 3 players on car, and you have 1 player defending, it keeps moving. You can't
Yeah.
stop it. You
Yeah.
need to
Yeah.
equal me. You need 3 players to
Yeah.
defend the car if I have
There's
3
Well,
on
actually-
car.
another way.
More I
But
think
that
about it, is it actually good?
Fucks up the
for
game for overtime. It really
What'd
fucks
you
up
say?
overtime.
What'd you say, John?
Does that actually make the game better? Like everybody just gathers up on payload.
Yeah, it goes
just
too
become
far.
better.
I think it goes too far on the
Yeah.
side of But that's why I don't think you go all the way where like
Maybe just like 3. Like since only 3 is a max push, if you have 3 contestants, they can have 5 on cart. But if you have 3, that stops. Like you know what I mean? Like something like. But yeah, I agree.
Or-
We want to avoid a problem where you have to have.
Or
we have to
maybe
keep the
like
fight
on the last
payload
10
the whole time.
meters
That would be boring. Yeah.
Because
or like
you guys
last 5 meters you can do it with 1, so you can still overtime stall people.
Yeah.
But you can't do it the whole map. Like the whole
Yeah.
map over and over again. Tracer touches car for 5 seconds,
Yeah.
gets healed, blinks around, she recalls. And then
I mean,
once she recalls
yeah.
back up, you push for 5 seconds and she does it again, and she does it again, and she does it. And like the whole map, you're trying to push the car. Every
think-
single time Tracer stalls you and makes you wait in front of her Ana, get naded, get dove. Because Tracer's
Like-
stalling you.
I think
Yeah,
Visual
maybe
Sec
maybe
is, like, a
just
good
the
example.
change where the card doesn't the tracer blinking off and then coming back, it's not moving. Maybe just get rid of that will be good enough change maybe to make. the
Yeah,
game
I do think the
going.
overpower, like having 5
Yeah.
people on car and just pushing no
Yeah.
matter what, is kind of
Yeah.
it makes
Yeah.
it like we're all people are start playing Bastion and fucking
Yeah.
sitting on the
so-
car with May and Reaper and just being Cancer and not playing the game.
Yeah. So one of the reason I thinking this one first time because of the push map, because you guys know the push map like 1% and 3% the speed is same, right?
Yeah, there's no
I
multiple
think
speed.
just average like people like doesn't know this one. Barely.
Yeah.
Or when
They're
I
used
first
to
time-
they're used to the
Yeah.
other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and when I play Overwatch like a little long time ago, I say to my team, if I sit in the cart, why is not go back? Because they're pushing my cart, but why can't I make it go back like that, right? So same as push right now, but whatever. So point is like that we can just make it a one person is same speed as with the other hero, just only like a buy low, you can make it different. It's making more game probably healthier or some way like or by map because I still like a coast map percentage is so overpowered. Like if you play Ilios, you have to play Tracer because the touch the point with the one Tracer and going back is so much like a have like a way to making like a calm working.
Yeah, opens the game up versus like
Yeah.
heroes who actually take a risk to touch point.
Yeah.
Like if you're a Soldier 76 and you touch point, you're like putting your life on the line. I mean, like you can die super
Yeah.
easy. You need your team to help you. And Tracer, no risk. Like she doesn't care. If someone shoots her, she hides and she touches point 1 second later. And it's the same thing. You have to like always be fighting her. You can't actually kill her for touching point. She makes no risk for it. And I think
Yeah.
Sombra also is like that too. Not as bad because at least TPing out is like kind of bad. And yeah.
Yeah, and only the tanker is like the monkey can play like a keep touching him back. Yeah.
Let's bring it back and talk about the now, and we're already on the Tracer topic. We had two opinions. Like Albert is like, if she's in every meta, that's kind of fine, you know. Like she plays well. It's not annoying to watch, and like I think the community perception is also fairly fine with it. I'm not so sure if that's a Stockholm syndrome thing Of course, Junkbuck was pretty vocal on Twitter that she's the main culprit. She actually has the highest play rate right now in Overwatch League by a solid amount. I think like it's, let me look at it real quick. 67% to Ana 60%, so being played by far the most. Gator, do you think Tracer has a problem?
No, I don't think so. I mean, you could tune it a little bit, and maybe I'm delusionally biased, but I don't think it's like that big of an issue. I really don't. I think as NineK said, I really think it's the tank and supports more than anything. Like Tracer would be gone the second some of these other heroes out. Sombra is a bit of an issue because I also just think it's a bit unfun to play against. I also think it's a bit boring to watch sometimes. So I think it's just maybe that one we can fuck off. But I think Tracer is fine. Honestly, I don't think it's overpowered. I don't think it's like anything crazy. I really don't. I think if that one's out, chances are Genji's right back in. So maybe that would be fun just to swap it up. You know, like that's the kind of thing I've been saying about where it's been the same shit for forever now. So if the devs for honestly just to make it a little more fun, just I don't know, buff Genji back a little bit and get him back in, that'd be cool. But I don't think it's like some big issue or anything now.
Junkbuck, you were the guy attacking Tracer.
Yeah.
Do you want to defend your stance?
Yeah, the issue with Tracer, there's where should I start? There's so many issues. I mean, what was it? I don't mind Tracer too, but then I think we can just like swap, like change everything and just play Ramatra too with like other rush heroes. But Tracer does feel, what was it, overwhelming too, oppressive, where the game gets decided by a pulse bomb a lot, and it has no risk, just going for the pulse, and it builds super fast. If it's like every minute, less than a minute each time, you get to have a free win card, and so, and then yeah, I'll start there. So it is oppressive to play. So I think a lot of the supports that you can play is also determined by is there a Tracer as well. And then I think Tracer. So a lot of the people say the generalist, you know, those heroes are like too good. So those are like Winston on tank and Tracer on DPS. So I do think maybe we can change it so that those heroes become more specific specialist heroes. So I think Tracer has crazy mobility, right? So Sojourn, the reason why it was so OP was because it could one-shot people while you can slide super fast and go to any high ground you want, right? So I think Tracer, if you nerf it so that it doesn't one-shot people, but then you still have crazy mobility. So so Tracer kind of becomes a specialist for those objective plays, right? Like you push payload and then during the dive, or it's good for contesting or holding point while your team stays on the high ground. So I think Tracer is gonna be used no matter what because of her role on Overwatch, the structure on like objectives. The Tracer is still good, but then at least make it a specialist hero for that.
Jake, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, rather than make her do everything.
I think there's no like Tracer shouldn't get special treatment. That's all I think is like any hero being 70% play rate is a problem and is like means like it's an issue. 70% is not. I mean, it could be worse. It could be 100. Like there can be these like Sojourn OP broken heroes like Sojourn on launch 100% play rate. But I think like every hero that gets to a super high play rate should get nerfed. Like it doesn't matter what the hero is, and the point is not that Tracer is a bad hero. We need to stop Tracer from destroying the game. I don't think any hero should be like that. That like we'd never allow this hero to be good, but rather, okay, Tracer's really good. Tracer dominates. Then we like nerf Tracer, and now like you said, Gator, maybe it's a Genji meta, and what does that? And that affects all these other heroes. Like it affects the picks around the game. And I think basically my thing is that they should just constantly shake up the meta. Like they should constantly do significant balance patches that change the game pretty significantly. Like I don't think the game. I really think it's really sad when there's a balance patch I mean, it's just like a missed potential when there's a bounce patch like this one where it's like, I'm really happy. At least we see some echo. Like, at least from a broadcast entertainment perspective, okay, at least there's some echo. Some teams playing like some Cassidy. Like, there's like something, it's like something interesting and different. But still, for me, I want more. Like, I want to see like maybe Ramatra nerfed and Ryan buffed. So like maybe Ramatra was the best rush hero for a long time, and now maybe Ryan is better, or Winston's the best hero. Let's nerf Winston, and let's have Ball and Doom take over for a while in the dive heroes, or maybe we can nerf enough divers, and then there's a Sigma meta, whatever, right? I don't think any meta is bad. They should like whatever is the meta should get nerfed, like because it is the meta. Just a forced team, like all right, figure something new out. I think that's like how the game should be. I think the most fun time when you're playing Overwatch is when there's like changes and you're like trying different things and trying a new comp and seeing what works, and like every team is experimenting a little. And like, so yeah, I think when the heroes, like the dominant heroes, maybe they don't need to get like killed. Like, I don't think you need to destroy Tracer to like make her super terrible, right? But she should get some kind of nerf every balance patch until she's not the best hero. Like, once she's like the third or fourth best hero, it's like, okay, but let's stop nerfing Tracer. Maybe she needs a buff actually, right? And I just think that's how every hero should go. Like, oh, Genji's the best hero. Maybe Genji needs a nerf and Tracer needs a buff. Winston's the best hero. Winston gets nerfed. Diva gets a buff. Doom gets a buff. Ball gets a buff. Like, you should just like reflexively change heroes based on what is strong and what is not strong, and just like constantly keep them in flux. Don't allow one thing to stay on top forever. And I think Tracer is a hero that stays on top forever because the devs don't really care that much about pro play and balance, and it's like a hero that's not even that good probably for 95% of the players. So ultimately, I think it's a huge problem, because I don't think it's a hero that like those are all the problem heroes. I think in Overwatch are the heroes that are high skill. Those are the heroes for pro player that are always broken because they never get nerfed properly, because they're statistically bad heroes. In like Winston is probably a bad hero. Like, honestly, Ramatra is probably 10 times better than Winston for the bottom 95% of the player base, because it just does like way more damage. You just run in and kill stuff. Like, you lose the Junker Queen on Winston. Winston's only good if you have like coordinated dives and a good Winston player who knows how to use Primal, and like there's all these requirements for Winston to be good. When you meet those requirements, he's a godly hero. Same for Tracer, but they're not like Tracer's not like the best hero at solo killing people in the game. Like, if you're just in plat, you should just play like hit scan and just shoot people, and like it's gonna be way better, versus a hero who has to, I'm pulling your attention and then my teammate's gonna come kill you. Like, that doesn't happen, for most of the player base. Like, you just need to kill stuff. And I touch the car. At least Tracer can always touch the car. Like, that's what you could do in every level.
The majority of Tracer players have never one clip somebody.
Exactly. So
like, I've never.
I feel like those heroes. I guess I'll save this further on this for the suggestion bit. But some heroes, like I think Ana's like this too. Is like a very high skill hero. You have no mobility. It's actually very easy to die on Ana if you fuck up at all and miss your skills. But if you're like really, really good at Ana and you're very, very consistent hitting your skills, the hero has like one of the best healing potential, has great damage, has the best skills in the game besides like blinks or something. Like, I mean, and I think all the high skill heroes end up staying on top longer than they ought to in the pro play, because statistically, if you look at the whole player base, they're not actually that strong. And so Blizzard doesn't really nerf them on the same speed as like, if Torb is super broken, then Torb is broken for every single person playing Overwatch, and it's like a huge problem and everyone's complaining. If they make Torb to do 50 damage per shot, everybody at every skill level is going to be one-tricking Torb. It's going to be so insanely broken. It's going to ruin everyone's experience. Tracer being broken only affects the elite 2% of the game.
NineK, we have several players that built their brand around playing Tracer almost exclusively to a large degree.
Yeah, like me.
She's on the logo of the damn league. Okay. Is it really a problem that she's played 70% of the time? Do you think like it's fine for one of these heroes that has extreme skill expression and whatnot to linger around, or do you agree with Jake and we should probably just like keep the rotation going?
I have like my idea for that. So I think one of the big reasons like people watching the pro game is because they can't do like that, right? So if you have a high the skill, it's making the people more hype. So I personally think high like a power skill or a high like a pro player only play is not the issue for me, because that is one of the reasons you're watching that game, right? But the problem for me is like when the Genji is strong, is working at the pro player and is also working at the public a lot. So that is the reason like when the Genji broken, everyone played the Genji whole game. and in the end, like some way to come out in the public or whatever. So that is the reason, like I think Monkey is also fun to watch it. I kind of like it, but because most of the player can't do like a purist or like a high level player, right? So, but I think that is one of, for me, like a design of a lot of OT, like a Ana or like a Mercy or like a tanker. You don't have that much like a high like a level to way to using your ulti. Like a tanker diva, what can you do from your, if you're pro? Can you hit the diva 5 in people if you go low Q? No. And if you go to the low Q with the Junkerkin, can you hit the 5 people with the Junkerkin ult? No. I think grab was kind of like a fun to have a mind game at the when we play at the Ghost, right? And Shatter was good because Shatter each other, like who blocking the Shatter is making the people like a hype, right? But I think right now the design of the Lamatra, design of the Junkerkin, and the design of the like a Doom and everything is feel like to me is you don't have any way to be played that hero more than fun. Like you have a very limited situation.
I think it's
Like
flashy from the
opportunity. Yeah.
casual's perspective. It's just like Junker King ult going off. It's flashy for the viewer. I don't think the
At least
viewer actually wants to see something super. Yeah, as long as it's pretty on the screen, I guess.
I would put like a caveat on the idea of the skill expression being what people like. I think people like skill expression, but they don't care at all about like Tracer being the highest skill expression, and I can't do that. And like, I think from talking to like casual people who like actual casual Overwatch players who like watch a little bit of League, or maybe they're not that interested, is people want to see the heroes they like with the pros playing. Like people were so happy when Junkrat is like the meta and I'm playing tons of Junkrat because they're like, I play Junkrat. That's so crazy what you do. Like really, really. But like nobody plays. I think like casual players don't even play Tracer because it's like not even fun. Like if you're like if I was playing on fucking console, I'll never touch this hero. Like what the fuck? Like it's impossible. I don't know how. Like I will just play Pharah only. And so I just think, and like people like they see Moira. They want to see. I mean, Moira's fucked up because there's like no skill expression.
Mercy on all.
yeah. I mean, it's sad, but it's like people actually, the people who play Mercy like want to see Owl player on Mercy and like see what they can do, and
that's more
it's
important.
Just that. I mean, I really think so. I think people care more about seeing the heroes they like on pro play. Like a lot. I remember. I think it was like League of Legends. Maybe they did like some survey about why you watch League of Legends. Like for people who watch pro League of Legends, why do you watch League of Legends? And it's like, the most likely answer is I want to get better at League of Legends. I want to learn to play my hero better. That's like the most popular reason, which is just League of Legends. I don't know. Maybe Overwatch is different, but I think maybe it's the same. I think maybe every esport is the same. Like you like playing the game and you watch so you can see the best players play the game and like learn from them and learn more from them as like, how do they do this? And if the pro players are playing heroes that like are inaccessible to you, I think that hurts that. If the pro players are playing heroes that casuals like, even if it's Junker, like I think it's less about Primo being a high skill and Queen ult being low skill. It's like I like playing Queen, but Winston's too hard for me. So I want to see people play Queen. Like I want to see the pro play Queen because I want to learn what to do and then see how they play and etc. Or they're just the flashy plays on the hero I like. We
need Ryan and Mercy buff.
Yeah,
for the viewer experience.
I think like Zarya is actually popular. Maybe.
Oh, Zarya is most popular.
She might be popular.
There's been a decent amount of Mercy play recently with the Echo. I will say I'm not impressed with the level of Mercy play at the moment, but
it's funny because all the pro players like don't play Mercy. They're so bad at it.
I honestly think
it's actually funny.
Like, you guys can probably play Mercy better than some of these pro players at the moment because they're just literally doing it for Echo. Like
people don't because it's so minor. And to be fair, Mercy is like a very hard hero to get good at. You have to play a lot. Like it's it has like unique mechanics that no other hero has.
Like the way you
especially
move,
the new movement is like you just need to play like 100 games of Mercy and you'll be really good at it. But no one's gonna do that because you only play Mercy like one in a.
You played like 2018. That time, no one can play Mercy, so every team have trouble when the Mercy off at that time.
Fucking Mercy, Bob. And Junkrat. That was Junkrat patch, It's fun times.
Yeah. Actually, that was like a pretty fun, like a strategy-wise, a lot of things like you can bring up. But because after that, like I think literally thinking the biggest issue for the Overwatch League is like which map you're gonna play against each team. It's so much easier to like predict their calm and the way to play.
100%. There's been tons of regular season matches decided by just the map. the map pools that
Yeah,
decide. It's like,
true.
oh, okay, well, you're running against a dive team. You can't play dive, and it's like all dive favorite map. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, well, let's just prepare for the next team. Like,
Yeah.
screw this,
I know.
screw this match. Like, let's just
Did
move
you
on.
guys wait, Gator? Did you guys play? Who did you guys play? I casted your games. What was the one on Ilios? Was it?
Bro, we played
team is it?
we played DC, right? And they
Yeah.
in the 3 maps were literally Bonnie, Gibraltar, Ilios, and I remember
Yeah, I remember.
getting
I was casting this that.
Bro,
I was like,
Danny-
oh
yeah,
boy.
they were so upset over that, and I mean,
Yeah.
like, what are they supposed to do? You
It is
literally
actually
have to
agreed.
mirror, like you have to mirror. It's actually just unfair. Right? It's
Yeah.
like not
when
fair.
I casted your London match on, it was like Oasis Garden, and you guys like clutched mid to win. Like you probably shouldn't have won mid, but you won mid.
Yeah.
Hit like 10 nades in a row, and
Yeah.
then I remember it was like you guys are at 30% and they were retaking. I'm like, yeah, this round's over.
Yeah.
Sorry guys. And
Yeah.
it's like, all right, you got all your
Well-
ults on Winston Cobb. They're retaking with like fucking Ryan or something. It's like it's over. Like, you're
But,
not
like,
winning this.
Don't you think that if you play London, then you should have to beat them on, if you're gonna 3-0 them, they should get map pick 2 and 3, and you should have
Yeah,
to
yeah,
beat them on
they should
2
get.
like
I don't even know
hardball
what
maps.
the picks are, but whatever.
Yeah, right. Like
Or
that.
at
that would
least
be,
they
like,
can
cool.
go to like circuit or something and make it like a DPS fight, whatever. Like they should. I think maybe why not have every game? Why even have these preset maps? Like why not have every game have map pick?
Yeah.
I think is like honestly, I think that's a very good argument. I don't really know
Yeah.
why we wouldn't do
I
map
feel
pick
like-
all the time
Oh, you
within
don't
a
know.
pool. I think there should be a
I feel
pool
like-
though. Like
I
you
feel
don't
like
have every map in the
I feel like devs or teams were probably afraid that like certain maps will not get picked,
Yeah, I think that's the biggest reason.
and I think
No,
they're
no,
like,
no.
Will they? Because I feel like if you're a bad team, you want to play the weird fucking map. and have some cheese that
Usually
no one else
playoffs,
wants, right?
it's only the same gets map played if you notice in the playoffs. So I think
Yeah,
they
I know,
just
I know.
want map variations.
I mean, I think it'd be interesting. Let's look. I mean, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it'd be interesting to look at the playoffs and like what the actual like pick rate is on certain maps, because like that's when like we do this, and it's like if certain maps didn't get picked, like I mean there's the reasoning, right? That's like a valid like, oh, if you're team 4, like, oh, I want to see Icon played, or I want to see Numbani played.
Yeah. But then those like maps that are universally hated, like Junkertown, for example. Like nobody's gonna pick Junkertown, for example. Then but so
Oh,
they
me too,
want
dude.
to force a variation on the map pool, probably.
Oh, some sickos would pick Junkertown for sure. It depends.
Yeah.
Like,
But that's the thing.
you
I
get
feel
like
some
Cypher's,
teams,
like you're picking
Some
Junkertown.
teams-
Yeah.
Yeah, some
If you
teams
have,
do.
like, a bad
but it
team, you
depends.
would want these. You would want these like the map picks that like. I feel like the good teams probably want the maps that are like, okay, stable, Route 66.
Yeah.
We're gonna play
Yeah,
this
yeah.
fucking mirror, whatever.
Yeah.
Like we know what everything's gonna happen. We want the stability.
Yeah,
But if
yeah.
you're a bad team, you want the chaos. You want to maybe my
Yeah,
widow pops
yeah.
off. Like so, I think you still play Junkertown sometimes, right? Because there's
So you would, but I think it's just that would be the reasoning for the deck.
Okay,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah.
Okay.
'Cause,
As
like,
I
rather than
know-
being 10%, 70%, it'll be like 50-50 for everything.
also it makes the broadcast day longer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Three-
9K.
Can I
Thank
say
you.
something?
Yes.
Because I'm not sure this is true or not. Because when I joined the season 1, that time we don't have map pool and we don't have like a map we only have a map direction by first map is coast map and second map is whatever in 2CP. That time we don't have like a map at the time. I heard that like people and coaches complain about they're hard about the schedule prepare the map
Correct.
each 2 team like that. I heard about that. I'm not sure it's true.
That's
or not.
true. That
I
is
just
true.
listened.
It's definitely
That's true.
harder. It's 100% harder to prepare because you don't have
Yeah,
the fucking maps that you don't know the map. But
yeah.
I mean,
But
that's
in that time,
pro is-
I
yeah.
can understand. In that time, I can
just wait
understand.
till we get to my suggestion. Then
Yeah.
we'll have to talk about some hard to prepare for coaches.
Yeah, that is good for that, and because that time I think like we play each of the maps so much in short term, so we need to like a hard prepare like to predict. Now we have like a 5 day, 6 day. 5 days, 6 days is quite a long time.
How about
And
who
we have
chooses
a-
the first map? Who chooses the first map?
I mean, dice. Yeah.
Or make the first map
Yeah.
preset
I mean,
only.
I think last year. I mean, we don't have a draft. Like I want to be like last year. Like a team can choose the first. Like if you're like a low bottom team from the last year, you can start in this regular season. The first map choose about your first map. If you play with the stronger opponent, at least this is fair,
Or
right?
just have the first maps be preset. Like it's still better if sometimes you get Ilios, but like first map is random preset, and then the rest of the maps are pick. Because I think RNG or low seed picking first map, maybe that's fine, but I think like the most normal thing is just we have map pick for map 2, 3, 4, 5. But map 1 is always going to be okay. It's preset. Today it's Busan, tomorrow Ilios, whatever. So I know when I go into my match, today I'm playing Busan, but the next 4 maps I don't know.
So
I think it's better too because the current like playoff like stuff where you get to tell your opponent that, or your opponent gets to know what map you picked like the night before. And like you could probably have known like for 3 days what map you're gonna pick, but then your opponent has no idea what the hell they're actually playing until like the night before. And it's like, okay, well, we gotta prepare at least, I guess. Like that kind of sucks. So yeah, I agree. I think if we were to do that, I think map 1 should just be set.
I just to add a little bit of context to what NineK said, I think that's like, as far as I recall, that's entirely true. That the feedback to the league was like, this is not feasible. But I also feel like the coaching has changed a lot. Like it used to be like very like scripted, like rotations and like, little set plays and whatnot. That like we're now teaching effectively heuristics, right, in terms of compositions and how stuff should work. So, and also keep in mind, I think like where it probably was most needed was when hero pools popped off and you had to figure out like a new comp pretty much, you know, every 4 weeks or whatever. And just
I think it's also Overwatch 1 is like way worse for like prep. Overwatch 1 was like
right.
We also had
you
40
could,
matches.
like, solve
season
the
one.
game. Yeah, so many matches. Yeah, that's true. 40 matches made it worse. I think 2 tank Overwatch was like Overwatch 1 was just from a playing perspective was all about set plays and holding this position. And then when they try it, we're holding this position and we're thinking, okay, they can come from these flanks and this main, and so we pressure main and we're ready for these flanks. And then like we don't let them break our position. And if they break our position, we have to do something or whatever, right? And then we have our next position, et cetera, et cetera. We'll fight this on second point payload. But I feel like that's Overwatch 1 was because of 2 tanks. Like that's like how you played. I mean, like Overwatch 2 is much more dynamic, much more poking and like prodding. Like you're not gonna come into the map like, okay, we're gonna stand right here. Like maybe your Ana will do that, but pretty much everyone else is gonna be kind of adjusting and pushing each other and trying to fight back. Yeah. So I think the game has also changed in a way you don't need to like prepare setups for everything. And maybe also the game is much more mature now. People have been playing for years and years. Everybody knows where you're gonna fight on like the certain payload maps, like the certain payload points. But I think genuinely Overwatch 2 is more dynamic. Sometimes you fight more times, less times. It just depends how the fights are going and if you can get picks or make the cart roll back, etc.
Gator, assuming this is not just or assuming it is a relic of the past that we don't have, map choices, maybe by the losing team each map, and it is not just an issue of, scheduling and them wanting to have the admin set up the server and like a fluid, movement of the broadcast. Do you think we should go to map drafts in terms of like, and if so, at what point would you like the team to be able to influence what kind of map is played? Is it before the series? Is it after you lose the map, you tell the admin? Is it you have to?
Yeah, loser map. Yeah, definitely loser map picks map. I mean, there's a reason it's in every tournament, right? Because it makes it more fun and interesting. I do think there's a reason for broadcast, and as you said, I think it'd be cool if you don't do something like that, then maybe you can introduce a hero ban system or something like that. And now that might create a little bit more excitement. I feel like you get more diversity. People would force you to play.
Gator.
I've been hearing your suggestion for a long time now. And
Yeah, I've been saying it. I've been.
I think a lot of people are down
years.
for. I think a lot of people are down for hero bans.
Yeah,
I think slowly I've pulled the Overton window towards me, and people believe it.
I don't even think you have to introduce it into the game. Like, you could just use owls. You just use owls. You always
Don't
have
do it in ranked.
Yeah. Of course not. And just add it now, and
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
that'd be cool. Yeah.
I think
the thing is, you guys seem to have a lot of agreement on this.
No, not me.
it's
Here we go. I'm glad we have Junk on the call.
How is that different from hero pools? For the sake of
I'll tell you why.
Diversity, yeah.
Because it changes every map, and so basically, rather hero pools is like every 2 weeks. Or what was it? Every 2 weeks, or every week?
Yeah,
and then they're like,
every 2 weeks.
First
time it was 2 weeks.
Every week,
they changed
and
it
then
week,
2 weeks.
every week.
Okay.
Oh,
So hero pools are like every time the new hero pool comes, as soon as those heroes, the bans come out, there is this meta, but we don't know what it is yet. And like nobody really, I'm like, okay, we'll test. But eventually at the end of the hero pool, I figured it out. I know exactly what the meta is. And then we're all playing this one trick meta. That's what happens in hero pools. What happens if there's a hero ban system is there is no more meta. Or maybe there's a meta, but you have to be able to swap heroes in your meta, or right? Like there is no one. Like in this match, when I play London always bans my dive heroes, and I always ban Lucio and Ryan from London. So when I play London, there's like London doesn't get to play what they want to play. I don't get to play what I want to play. And if it's like if Houston plays Atlanta, then maybe you guys want to ban Tracer, and maybe Atlanta wants to ban, I don't know, Echo or something, right? Or like Kiriko, they want to ban like a double flex support. So basically you can't prep for matches to having your comp. You don't know what you'll play when the match starts.
You want to have some sort of competitive integrity in a sense where like if you're a good team, you want those teams to be winning. If you have a better team, you should win, kind of thing, right? That makes the thing more fun. That's why people don't watch pickup games; they're gonna watch professional games, right? I think the hero ban has too much random variables. Random as in too much variable where there's if the match ends up being an upset every single time, then I think the league itself, it's like a less interesting. It's fun.
I will
because
counter that, Junk, by saying that people watch Apex Legends and Fortnite. That are literal RPG games.
So that's a different route we could take. We could be, we could have our league just be a Fortnite tournament. It could be just like there's like a new people coming in all the time, and then this people like we have a new winner every tournament. Your whole team. yeah. So it just depends on what kind of league you want to have, I guess.
I don't think it goes to that extent, personally, but
we really got to define, because when you say hero ban, that could mean very different things. It could be 6 heroes, 2 per role and whatnot. It could be just 1 across any role, and you can decide. What do you mean when you say hero ban?
Can I set up a suggestion as like, because I've thought about this a lot. So can I set up a system that we can then attack and defend?
Okay, here we go.
All right. So my concept for a hero ban system is this. I think the first is that it's 1 hero per team each map. That's my concept. So i.e. and you have to submit it with the roster. So you submit it blind. You don't know what the other team will ban when you ban. You just both ban blind at the same time. So you minimize broadcast delay. There's no like you ban and then I ban and we have to like talk to each other and tell the app. It's like, no, you submit this roster of players. I put my guys in, and if I'm gonna ban Tracer, I'm like not putting my Tracer player in, whatever. But I have to, maybe I'm putting my Widow 1-trick in, and you're banning Widow. Like you just can't be a Widow 1-trick anymore, or you're fucked. Like that's how the game changes. So essentially, we submit this 1 blind ban each. If we both ban the same hero, then there's only 1 hero banned, and the bans are global. So if I ban a hero, I can't play it. You can't play it. Nobody plays it this map. The other caveat that I would personally put on it is that, and this is like I think the only way to do it from the perspective of something Blizzard would ever consider implementing, is you can't ban a hero more than once in a series. So if I ban Tracer, I have to decide when I want to ban Tracer. If I really don't want to play Tracer, I have to. It's like Ilios against Atlanta where I ban Tracer, and I'm like really desperate to force something else. Or it's the map I think, like maybe it's Dorado, and I have some whatever. But you can only ban it. So if you ban Tracer once, your next ban is Winston, your next ban is Ana, your next ban is Brig, your next ban is Sombra. If you wanted to ban those heroes, you couldn't say I'm up against Fearless, I'm banning Winston every map. Fuck you, Fearless. You can't play your best hero, because then I think that would be bad. We don't get to see Fearless on his best hero. Like that sucks. No one wants that. But on one map, I get to say Fearless, you can't play Winston. And then for those players who are like specialist combos, I think they'll be forced to diversify. But I think most players who are known as like the best in the world at one hero are actually really, really good at a bunch of heroes. I don't think they're gonna have a problem in terms of like being a good player. So it's one ban per team. You do it blind, and so in every single map. At the start of the map, there'll be 2 heroes blacked out, and like we play. And so when we're scrimming, and we practice this comp, and then 2 of those heroes are banned from what we played in scrims, and we have to do something new, and we don't. I think you shouldn't get to talk to the coach. So I think this is like what we talked about hard for preparing. This basically fucks coaches. This whole system is like being a coach is like nukes the coach role. Like you can still coach, but you can't say like this is our strat.
That goes against competition in general, Like
I don't think so.
Because now I
think you look at like MOBAs. MOBAs have bans. They scrim and they have bans.
Okay, I'll go one by one. I'll tackle on the MOBA comparison first. The reason why it works in MOBA is, first, you're just on a 1 map the whole time. No matter what hero you play, it's just 1 map. Nothing else changes. Everything objective is the same. It is just 1 map. Yeah, and so also the MOBAs has like hundreds of heroes where one gets banned, the other is interchangeable. So I think it's the MOBA is not a good comparison just because it works in MOBA doesn't mean I think it's gonna work in Overwatch, and also for the preparation thing in terms of competition, it adds the random variable it is good for competition, but you don't want it too much. Once it becomes too much, it's just almost like gambling. It's not a competition at that point, you know. So blind, not knowing it, going into a tournament, not knowing what you're gonna be playing, and not having, I think it's not a really a good.
Scrims would be. I will say I like hero bans, but scrims would also turn into.
Yeah,
like,
scrims would be a fiesta.
Scrims would be cancer because you would be like, okay, well,
but
we're gonna ban
also
this one.
incentivize you not to triple block. It would be like, well, fuck it, play 2 blocks and then go play rank because you need a little chaos. You need to, because it basically, I think rather than making the game like a more gambling, I think it makes the game more chaotic, and the skill of the game is not mastering one thing, but having the flexibility to dynamically adapt to anything. So the player is the best. Like for instance, right now, if it's like a Tracer meta, Stalker can be like the best player in the game, right? But if it's this isn't, Stalker's not a Tracer one trick, right? But like let's take a player who is like a hypothetical player, because I don't really think all the best Tracer players are like flexible realistically in the Overwatch right now. So let's take a hypothetical player who's like a true Tracer one trick. I only ever play Tracer, but I'm the best Tracer in the world. Then that means you're the best player in the world in a Tracer one trick meta, because it doesn't matter that you don't play anything else. Like, no, it doesn't affect anything because you just play it all the time. It's like Lucio being the one trick meta, you being like the best Lucio one trick. That means you're the best support in the world. But I think in this system, the best DPS player in the world is the one who has like 3 or 4 heroes at the top level who can play. So, you take my Tracer away, I'm gonna play this Echo and still be one of the best in the world. I'm gonna play this Sombra and still be one of the best in the world. I'm gonna play Genji and still be the best in the world. Whereas, so like if I have a team of like super stacked team of like insanely strong players, it doesn't fucking matter if, in my opinion, like that like in terms of competitive integrity, like the teams who have like minimum budget and are getting like whatever, like the last players who aren't signed, those teams are not going to be beating teams with like super strong and like people who are just better at the game. Like I think the better players will still win, maybe not as often. Like right now it's like maybe 90-95% that the best players are going to win, and other than like like the less good players, super peaking and the best players
I think it's
having
easier
a bad
to ban.
day.
I think it's easier to ban heroes against a weaker team, anyways, because it's a stronger team has more.
Maybe if anything, this makes it more extreme. Where like
your
the best
quality
team
of players, it's like pick your poison, right? You got, if you're playing Houston, it's like, okay, you can get Fearless Winston, or you can get like Shu has a crazy Ana. Like, do you want to ban Ana? Like there's so many things to ban on if you're playing Houston. Whereas like if you're playing a weaker team, like I don't know, Valiant, it's like, okay, so let's just ban whatever Seeker's good at, and call it a day.
Yeah,
And
whereas
that's all you
like
need to think
going
about.
against Valiant and banning Sojourn and going against London and banning Rhine or Lucio are like way bigger hits to those teams than anything that people will ban against Houston and Atlanta.
But
like any ban they do
it's not
won't
simple
help
as
them.
like one hero being gone. I think it changes the whole dynamic. The Overwatch is like a competition, So one shift makes it makes the whole thing different. So.
You can have 4 of the heroes that you wanted to play. That's the thing. So the limit of one ban is like, it's not like you get to do like a whole ban. Okay, now like half the dive heroes are gone. Like dive is not viable anymore.
We don't have enough heroes to have that many
hero.
bans. Yeah.
I think there's no. Yeah, I don't think so either. That's why I think only one ban at a time each. If you don't want to, if you like playing dive and you don't ban a dive hero,
so I guess it's a level. So I guess it's a level of competitive integrity as in like
I think it's sacrificing some competitive integrity to force diversity. But I don't think it's like we're playing. I think Apex Legends still has less competitive integrity.
I think hero pool is like what was the middle ground to force diversity, but then also at least the people know what they'll be playing and preparing for it, and they could have some kind of competition with it, preparation for it. But then if it's like too RNG, and I think it has it might make it too RNG. As in, it's once in a while, like Valiant winning the whole championship might be fun, but like but next year Vegas does it, next year like Guangzhou does it, then who's gonna wanna watch the tournament?
I think Albert's point is really strong. Like, what would you say to Albert's point that the bad teams, like whatever, a team that is like relying, like Valiant is like only winning when Seeker is popping up on Sojourn,
Target
as far
ban
as
is
I
so-
can tell.
So
So if you ban this guy's heroes, this team is like,
So-
fuck, they're never winning a
That's
game
what I was
again.
saying. It's not as simple as just one thing. It's like if it's like a, let's say like a Tracer gets banned, then maybe the whole dive doesn't matter. So it's not just the Tracer that gets banned. Maybe you just don't play dive, and then so it becomes a whole shifting dynamic in what you play.
9K.
Mhm.
You have the angel and the devil of hero bans sitting on your shoulders. One of them is Junkbuck, one of them is Jake, okay?
No,
You look
no,
like
you asked the wrong person because Jake and me, the one of the hard person like we want to be banned.
okay.
I mean, actually, when we play with the Dallas, the Lyon match, event match, I asked like, and me and Russia want to do like a ban system that time. So I banned Kiriko. I think he banned like a Winston at the time. So we just like forced him to choose like a at by map. So I personally, in my experience, it's not something like a that much like a RNG for me. And it's I don't know why people think it's orange. Don't think it's orange like a competition is bad, but the true fact is like EPL is the most like a popular legion, like a popular the what is it like a UK is the most like a viewership is existing because there's so much RNG happen. Your bottom team can beat it. I think the problem is like a strong team is lead the game. It's not the problem. Your bottom team is still have a chance to go to like a second and third is more interesting.
But
Because
then
you're-
those are not RNG though. They prepare to beat that team, you know?
Yeah, so my point about that is
Yeah.
that prepare to beat this is come from you can do something to a strong team. I think, or you can just
My RNG is like there's like you'll end up playing something you never play. So there's no like the preparation becomes less meaningful. Almost
No, but the prep,
meaningless.
but you're assuming the prep doesn't change. The prep's gonna
Yeah.
change as well. In addition, because the
Like the
game
way you'll
change,
scrim with it too.
you're gonna prep differently. The prep will change too. So you're not
But
prepping
you'll
the
be
same way.
scrimming and
You prep the same way.
you
Like
won't
that would
be
just be
playing.
dumb. Yeah.
But then if you don't
Or
know
like-
what gets banned, you don't know what you'll be playing though, right?
But that encourages you to not one trick comps. Is the point? It's like okay, now I have to. We just have to play a bunch of shit and just be ready. Like it's more general concept. Like okay, we gotta be. Here's our like rush look. Here's our like here's our poke look. Here's our dive look. Like you have to have like at least 3 looks, right? Just in case. I think honestly, I don't know about global. I was on the way I was thinking about hero bans is maybe like you can play the hero, but the other team can't play. That's what I was.
I think the only problem is it introduces some weird scenarios. Like it makes it like there's like a potential. There's some heroes that like only counter each other, in my opinion. Like I don't know. There's like Echo or whatever. If you like ban the other Echo, maybe you can like fuck them really hard with like a flyer hero. Yeah, or like or I don't know what it is. Or like maybe it's like if Ryan is, or if there's like a patch problem where like this hero's super broken. If Sojourn's a broken hero and I can like take Sojourn for myself for one map, I get to win this map because I have the best hero. So I think in an ideal world it could be good, but then if like imagine it's like a one trick meta, like a Junker Queen one trick meta. Yeah. I get Junker Queen this map. I get a free map win. Like
for example, I'll give you an example. Like you're playing Toronto, they always play. They always play like on Lijiang. They're always playing this Ryan Rush comp. If it's a global ban, they can like you can game it more because you're like okay, one of us is gonna ban like they're gonna like Toronto can be like okay, they're gonna ban Ryan, so I can knowing that they're gonna perma ban this hero, we have way more options to like you're using someone else's like guaranteed ban as a way to bolster your own ban, and I feel like if it's just for the other team, you can't do that. You have to be
I don't
okay.
think the ban is ever guaranteed though. That's the thing. Like as much as it's like you might think they're gonna ban Ryan, but there's so much mind games to it. Since it's blind.
But I'm saying if it's just
be like you have a strat where you're gonna go all in on them banning this one hero. Like, I mean, even if you're right that the ban will target a rush comp. I mean, there's still like 5 heroes.
I also think it's interesting because if you wasted a ban or if you used a ban already, it's like okay, they can't they banned Widow earlier. That means we can ban Widow for them, but also know that we're gonna play Widow. And I think
I just thought of an edge case too, where like on Koth, if you're forced to ban Lucio, because if you just get Lucio, you get to mid first with like your Lucio, and they never ever get to mid on time. That ruins a lot of control maps, in my opinion. Like,
and that's fine. And then you can both just ban Lucio, right? Then it's like okay, well and I think that's more equitable to me than having like it's global for both teams. I don't know. It's more complicated, but I think it's more fair. At least I think
I
so.
mean, if you do only one-way bans, it's like less heroes are banned because that would mean basically
Yeah.
one hero on
Right.
average is banned. Like
Yeah.
one, it's a different hero, but it's one hero on each team versus one ban each is two
True.
heroes
It's,
banned.
it's like,
for
oh,
both
your ban
teams.
is also your own. You're also banning something on your end. Like you could be punishing, like, you know, there's some, especially if you can't repeat. So you can't just be, okay, our weakness is with like,
Yeah, you can't
our
repeat
weakness
bans,
is like,
important.
like we can't play Winston and we don't want to play teams that are good at Winston. So we just permaban, like we're banning Winston all the time. You know, it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
So if some team do like a map choose with the ban, it's fine. Like a loser choose a ban and with the global ban, and like a do with the map choose, it's fine.
Both teams have bans. I'm saying,
Same?
yeah, I'm saying only one hero is
Oh,
banned for
okay,
each team.
okay,
Instead of two heroes banned on each team, it's one
So
hero
how
for each
about,
team.
how about loser pick the map and like a ban to the enemy? Just one.
So the winner doesn't even get a ban.
so-
I don't. That's interesting, actually.
Wait. Okay, I mean, I
That's
think
like-
that that's like you're literally fighting with an arm behind your back if the loser gets to. Hey, yeah, you like we're gonna pick the map and like we're picking King's Row and you can't play Ryan. Like what is that? Like
Look, half of
I do
this
think-
league's results are 3-0s, right? Like every
Yeah.
second
Yeah,
game
yeah.
results in a stomp.
but I think that's because you can't
Which-
pick map. I think literally
I can
just
tell you
letting
guys,
teams pick maps.
our
would
makeup
solve that.
artist is a huge fan of the 3-0.
I think the three like the result. I think result is a issue with the league format or whatever. It's the issue with the league, not because of how the game is. I think the format. I think it's an issue with the format.
Format is the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is
I think
hectic,
format
Because the format is
Yeah.
the league, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
like that's the only thing that
Yeah.
makes the league different.
Yeah.
So
Gator.
Is the way we
Realistically,
play like
I
a
wanna
5-match
say-
format.
okay. So hero balance in general, maybe there is not as much as variable. I mean, we never had it, so we don't know for sure. Maybe there is not as much of a variable, but yeah, who knows? Maybe it could be good. Who knows? Yeah.
Imagine we could use
I
contenders.
think
to
it
do
just.
trial formats.
I think
that would be cool.
Oh,
You have to
tryout,
do
like,
something.
Contenders.
I think
yeah,
you have
just
to do something, or like we do like a preseason tournament with like a hero ban with Overwatch League, like in this format. I think the bigger point though is that we have to do something to change. Like the irony is that in order for the esport to look more like what casual players see when they play Overwatch, we actually need rules, like different rules, to force it to be more like what the casual
Yeah.
players play. Because if you don't do that, if we have the current system where we're like it's the same game, the pros we do something totally different than the casual players. Not just like I'm better at the game, like we just don't play any of your heroes. The heroes you like never get touched because they're considered unusable in Overwatch League, things like that. And I think we need some kind of rules change that forces pro teams to like play lots more comps, because I think people actually really want to see their favorite fucking hero, even if it's Moira or whatever.
Yeah.
They want to see that shit so badly in Overwatch
It'll-
League. And
it'll-
if
it'll
you-
be a
if you
true
don't know what
testament-
you'll see.
It'll be a true testament to who's actually the best rank player.
Yeah, actually,
you figure out the
actually.
comp on the
It makes
fly.
the game
and-
more
and-
like
and-
ranked.
Mhm.
Like you get a fucking one trick one game, and you have to adapt
Yeah.
to that one trick, and like that's how
So-
the game
so-
is for
So you could put
99%
top
of the
5
player
players
base.
on the ladder board. That's your team.
Okay.
Gator.
Yeah.
I-
Like maybe that's how it should be. For real. Maybe that's how it should be.
I would like to add more talking time for coaches because I think of
Yeah.
all the FPSs, like over you
Mm.
can't talk to your fucking players, and it's ridiculous. It's like once you get into the lobby, you can't talk. Like there's dead time. You can't talk during like the hero select. You can't talk in between rounds, and I think
Yeah.
I think
I think maybe a setup phase talk would be good.
Quick, for the viewer, can you explain how it works? Because I
Okay.
don't think that's public knowledge.
yeah. Okay, so
Oh,
basically prior to the map you can talk to the players all you want, but once the lobby, like once it says entering game, that's it. So like imagine in ranked equivalent or casual equivalent, you're in the loading screen. Once you're in the loading screen, you can't talk to your team, like as a coach. You just have to watch. It's just up to the players, and you listen. And you don't have much time to talk to them at all, because like in between maps they're taking a piss, they're doing whatever, and then it's really hard to make mid-map adjustments. Like I think you should be able to talk in between rounds. So, like say, you're on attack. After attack, you should be able to talk. Like maybe your comp's not working. Maybe you want to switch something up. But like it's hard as a player in the server to like realize like it's a match. Like stakes are higher. You don't want to like, oh, I don't want to like go do something crazy. But like if your coach is like, hey, like I'm seeing, this is what I'm seeing. We should switch the comp. We should try our our cheese strategy for this next defense. I think you would see some more switch ups than right now, which is like it's hard. It's just hard for players to be as creative without a sounding board or without somebody else like trying to talk to them. So I think in between rounds, I think all the freeze times, like up until they actually leave the spawn, I think coaches should be able to talk to players. I think talking to players during the match is too much. Like if you're actually playing, like that's too much. But I think
then you have
times,
like ex-pros on the coach slot shot calling for you.
Tracking all, they're tracking all.
Yeah. Like you don't need an old track. Yeah, that would create problems. But
during all the freeze times, you should be able to talk to players as coaches, because I think it just really sucks to be a coach sometimes, looking at your players and be like, I can't. If only I could like give them a comp or like give them like something real quick, and you can't do that.
Or like they punishing this guy and like
you can't take timeouts.
This guy can help that guy, whatever.
And I think you shouldn't be able to take
no timeouts. I don't
you
like
shouldn't
timeouts,
be able to
but
it doesn't.
But I do think we can use the existing freeze time. And it's for instance on Koth, like before the spawn door opens, maybe you can talk on Koth. Like I don't know. I think it's hard to think of why not. Like it's hard to.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What point of view do you give the coach?
What?
Oh, you want top down or do you want
POV. I think how many POV can you get? Just one?
You should be able to get every POV plus the top down. I don't see why not. I really don't.
So you can't talk while you see the top down. You talk when the people are in the spawns.
You can only talk during freeze time.
Now the coach's room becomes like 5 computer screens with everyone's
that was season 1.
And then
all the
coaches talk to each other.
You remember season 1, the dugouts we literally had this. This is existing technology. This is not a new concept.
I mean, that is the reason every year I ask like a league, why not anymore? We can't get the like a top-down view anymore, and they're not.
I mean, if you get top-down and be able to tell the players, I think it'll be too unfair, right? The other team can't.
I realize the top-down. If you're attackers, right, your team's attacking, and you're looking at top-down, you're telling them where the defenders are. Like, that's broken. That's broken as fuck.
I'm saying we're not. You can't. You can only talk during freeze time. You cannot talk
but it
while
is
the game
freeze time.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. If you're freeze time in the attacker spawn,
you're right. Okay.
See, I'm telling you where the defenders are playing. So maybe you have to kill top down, or top down is blacked out for a certain. But that's actually
that's too much. Okay, just leave it first person.
I think that's hard to do actually.
You can
keep it. Have to kill top down to do this.
Yeah, I think that's too much pressure on the admins. Like make sure we black out their top down. Like I think that's too much work. So let's
maybe we kill top down altogether and just give a replay of top down after the whole series is done if you wanted it.
Yeah.
But so basically, you can't see top down during the match. You can't see top down during the match at all.
I think it's too hard to implement.
Because I think in order to do this, you would have to just kill top down. That's the only way to do it. Yeah. Like from a technical perspective, you just have to no longer ever see top down again during a match. Did people use it that much? I mean, I guess it is.
We can't see top down right now.
Do you not have it this season?
No, we can only see one POV. We can only see one first person POV of your own team.
Yeah, and you can click between it.
And you can click between. Yeah.
So I think with that, there's no reason not to talk on free time.
It's just. I mean, with the existing system, without top down, But right now, with the system we have, I think we should be able to do top down because we can't talk to them anyways.
So yeah, it's either or.
Right now,
I'd rather have the coaches talk to players because then for broadcast we could listen in for coaches. That would actually be big money on the broadcast. It would be really interesting. People would love that shit.